Today, we're witnessing the job interview apocalypse. 70% of companies now use AI to hire people, and it's going exactly as badly as you'd expect. Picture this: you show up to your dream job interview, and instead of a human, you're facing a glitchy robot that judges you based on whether you wear glasses, your hairstyle, and how much your bookshelf is worth. We've got real horror stories of AI interviewers breaking down mid-conversation, candidates being rejected for their lighting setup, and algorithms that think wearing women's clothing is a red flag. Welcome to the future of hiring, where your career depends on convincing a computer that you're human enough to deserve a paycheck.
I applied for a senior developer role and got invited to what I thought was a Zoom interview. The interviewer introduced herself as Sarah from HR, had a perfectly normal voice, asked great technical questions. 15 minutes in, she starts glitching like a broken record. Tell me about your experience with, tell me about your experience with, tell me about your experience with. I'm sitting there going, hello. Sarah, she finally says, thank you for your time, and hangs up. I got rejected via email an hour later. I never spoke to a human.
What Jessica experienced is now standard practice. Companies are using AI to conduct entire interview processes because it's cheaper than paying humans, but these systems are fundamentally broken. HireView's algorithm used to analyze facial expressions to predict job performance. It would literally reject candidates for blinking too much or not smiling the right way. We discovered people were being scored based on their lighting setup, background decorations, and whether they wore glasses. It's astrology for hiring.
I interviewed with an AI for a marketing position, and it asked me to sell me this pen while analyzing my facial expressions through the camera. I gave a great pitch about storytelling and customer psychology, got rejected. Later found out through a friend who works there that the AI flagged me as low energy because I wasn't gesticulating enough. The algorithm wanted me to flail my arms around like an infomercial host. I'm a strategy guy, not a carnival barker.
The bias in these systems is staggering and often hilarious if it wasn't ruining people's careers. Amazon's AI recruiting tool had to be scrapped because it automatically rejected any resume containing the word women's. So if you volunteered for women's charities or graduated from women's colleges, you were blacklisted. German journalists tested HireView and found that wearing different accessories, changing your hairstyle, or having a bookshelf in the background could completely alter your personality score. We're letting algorithms make life-changing decisions based on whether you own the right furniture.
Dr. Martinez, walk us through what's actually happening when someone sits down for an AI interview. What is this algorithm looking for?
It's trying to play detective with your face and voice, but it's terrible at it. The AI analyzes microexpressions, speech patterns, word choice, even how you move your hands. It's looking for traits like conscientiousness or extroversion based on whether you make eye contact with the camera or use certain keywords. But here's the absurd part. The algorithm doesn't know what jobs actually require. It just compares you to the company's current top performers, which often means white men in leadership positions.
I started researching these systems after my disaster, and it gets worse. Some AI interviewers measure how often you blink, the pitch of your voice, even the angle of your head. I read about one candidate who got dinged because the algorithm thought she looked tired due to her eye shape. Another guy was rejected because his voice was too monotone. He's autistic, and that's just how he talks. These systems are designed by people who think there's one correct way to be human.
The preparation advice you find online is dystopian comedy. Make sure your lighting is even. Sit exactly 18 inches from the camera. Use action words like dynamic and synergy. Smile, but not too much. I spent 3 hours setting up my home office like a TV studio for a 15-minute AI interview. My background had to be plain but not too plain, professional but not corporate. I felt like I was preparing for a space mission, not a marketing job.
Dr. Kim, give us some specific examples of how these algorithms fail in practice.
Oh, where do I start? One AI hiring system was rejecting older candidates, so someone resubmitted their application with a younger birth date and immediately got an interview. Another system flagged candidates as unprofessional if they had a foreign accent. Turns out it was just bad at processing non-American English. My favorite is the AI that scored people higher if they had Apple products visible in their background. It somehow learned that successful employees have MacBooks, so it started recommending people based on their tech brand loyalty.
The facial analysis is the most ridiculous part. These algorithms claim they can detect personality from your face, which is 19th century phrenology dressed up in machine learning. One study found that the AI scored candidates differently based on whether they wore glasses, had facial hair, or even the brightness of their video. A candidate literally got different personality scores by adjusting their camera's exposure settings. We're basically using a very expensive mood ring to hire people.
I know someone who got rejected from 6 AI interviews in a row, then hired an AI interview coach for $200. The coach told her to speak 20% slower, use exactly 3 hand gestures per answer, and wear a specific shade of blue. She followed the script perfectly and got hired at the 7th company. She's doing great at the job, but she basically had to learn to perform for a robot audience. It's like training for a very specific video game where the rules are secret and constantly changing.
Marcus, tell us about the most absurd AI interview experience you've heard about.
A friend of mine interviewed for a customer service role where the AI asked her to demonstrate empathy by reacting to a sad story. The AI told her a fake story about a customer's lost package, and she had to show the appropriate emotional response. She teared up slightly because she's a compassionate person, and the algorithm flagged her as overly emotional and unsuitable for customer service. Meanwhile, another candidate who barely reacted was marked as professionally composed. The AI literally penalized someone for having empathy in an empathy-based job.
That's classic algorithmic bias. These systems are trained on historical data of who got hired, which reflects all the human biases of the past. If your company has historically hired unemotional people for customer service, the AI learns that emotional expression is bad. If you've hired mostly men for leadership roles, the AI starts looking for masculine traits. It's like having a hiring manager from 1955 who never learned that times have changed, except now it can process thousands of candidates per hour.
The technical failures are comedy gold too. I've seen AI interviewers get stuck in loops, ask the same question 17 times, or completely misunderstand responses. One AI asked a candidate about their Python experience, and when they mentioned programming in Python, the AI started asking follow-up questions about snakes. The natural language processing thought they were talking about reptiles. The candidate spent 10 minutes trying to explain that they weren't a herpetologist.
Let's talk about the business side. Why are companies so eager to replace human recruiters with these clearly broken systems?
It's all about scale and cost reduction. A human recruiter can interview maybe 10 people per day. An AI can interview 1,000 people per day and never needs coffee breaks. Companies see huge cost savings. They can fire their recruiting team and replace them with a $50,000 software license. The fact that the AI might be worse at actually identifying good candidates is considered an acceptable trade-off for the efficiency gains.
It's also about liability laundering. If a human recruiter rejects someone for discriminatory reasons, the company can get sued. But if an AI does it, they can claim it was an algorithmic decision and they had no bias. It's like having a racist hiring manager, but now you can say the computer made us do it. Companies love having a scapegoat for their discrimination, especially one they can call objective and data-driven.
The irony is that these systems are probably less efficient in the long run. They reject qualified candidates for stupid reasons, hire people who gamed the system, and create terrible candidate experiences that damage company brands. I know multiple engineers who refuse to apply to companies that use AI interviews. You're filtering out people who have options, which usually means you're filtering out the best candidates.
Dr. Martinez, what's the most egregious example of AI hiring bias you've encountered?
I audited a system that was systematically rejecting candidates who mentioned any kind of caregiving experience, volunteering at nursing homes, caring for family members, even pet sitting. The AI had learned that their top performers had linear career paths with no gaps, so anyone who had life experiences outside of work was flagged as unreliable. It was particularly devastating for women, who are more likely to have caregiving responsibilities. The algorithm was essentially punishing people for having empathy and family obligations.
I love the Amazon story because it's so perfectly on brand. Their AI learned that good employees don't have the word women's on their resumes, so it started auto-rejecting anyone who had participated in women's activities. Women's chess club captain? Rejected. Women's studies degree? Rejected. Worked at a women's shelter? Rejected. The algorithm basically concluded that associating with women in any capacity was a career liability. They spent years and millions of dollars building an automated misogyny machine.
The age discrimination is brutal too. I know a 55-year-old designer who couldn't get past AI screening for months. He finally had his 25-year-old nephew submit the exact same portfolio and resume, and the nephew got interview requests within days. The AI had learned that older candidates are less adaptable or less tech-savvy, so it was just automatically filtering out anyone over 45. It's illegal when humans do it, but somehow legal when a computer does it.
What can job seekers actually do to protect themselves in this algorithmic hiring landscape?
Gaming the system is unfortunately becoming a necessary skill. Use AI resume optimizers to stuff your resume with the right keywords. Practice with AI interview prep tools that mimic the real systems. Set up perfect lighting and audio for video interviews. It's exhausting and shouldn't be necessary, but until these systems improve, you have to play by their broken rules. I keep an AI interview set up in my home office now, specific lighting, camera angle, background.
Know your rights. Some cities like New York now require companies to disclose when they're using AI in hiring and to conduct bias audits. Ask companies directly if they use AI screening and request information about their process. Many companies will be cagey about it, which is usually a red flag. If you suspect AI discrimination, document everything and consider filing complaints with the IEOC or your local civil rights office.
Look for companies that are transparent about their hiring processes. The best employers are starting to realize that AI interviews create terrible candidate experiences and are moving back to human-centered approaches. Companies that care about diversity and inclusion are often more skeptical of these algorithmic systems. If a company's values page talks about treating people as individuals, but their hiring process is completely automated, that's a contradiction worth questioning.
Network your way around the algorithms when possible. Cold outreach to hiring managers, referrals from employees, attending industry events, anything that gets you in front of humans rather than robots. The AI can't filter you out if you never enter their system. It's more work, but it's often more effective than playing algorithm roulette with your career.
Looking ahead, where is this automated hiring trend headed?
We're seeing a backlash starting to build. Companies are realizing that AI hiring creates legal liability, bad candidate experiences, and doesn't actually improve hiring outcomes. The smart companies are pulling back and using AI as a tool to assist human recruiters, not replace them. But we'll probably see a few more years of chaos before the market corrects itself, and people realize that hiring is fundamentally a human process.
Regulation is coming. The EU is already cracking down on algorithmic hiring, and US states are following suit. Companies that don't clean up their act voluntarily will be forced to buy lawsuits and legislation. The first major class action lawsuit against AI hiring discrimination will probably happen within the next 2 years, and it's going to be expensive for the companies involved.
I'm optimistic that this is just a growing pain as companies learn to use AI responsibly. The current systems are clearly broken, but the technology itself isn't inherently evil. If we can build AI that actually assesses job-relevant skills rather than facial symmetry or bookshelf quality, it could make hiring more fair and efficient. We just need to stop pretending that algorithms are automatically better than humans at understanding humans.
The whole experience taught me that we're living through a weird transition period where humans are adapting to machines instead of the other way around. I shouldn't have to learn how to perform for an algorithm to get a job, but here we are. Hopefully, future AI will be smart enough to recognize that good employees come in all shapes, sizes, personalities, and lighting setups.
Jessica, Dr. Martinez, Marcus, Dr. Kim, thank you for this hilarious and horrifying tour through the world of AI job interviews. You've shown us a hiring landscape where algorithms judge people based on their bookshelves, reject candidates for blinking wrong, and mistake Python programmers for snake enthusiasts. While the technical failures are comedy gold, the human cost is real, qualified people losing opportunities because they don't fit an algorithm's narrow definition of the ideal employee. This episode was brought to you by Unstruct AI, where we explore the human cost of systems that prioritize efficiency over humanity. Today we've seen how AI hiring tools, designed to eliminate bias, often amplify it instead, creating new forms of discrimination based on lighting, accessories, and bookshelf arrangements. When companies replace human judgment with algorithmic guesswork, real people pay the price through missed opportunities, career setbacks, and the dignity-destroying experience of having to perform their humanity for a machine. The question isn't whether AI can help with hiring, it's whether we'll demand systems that actually understand what makes humans good at their jobs.